Shuna, Shuna, AI, AI, Shuna, Shuna, Nasia, Shabuo, Pusha, Namian, Daniel, Nimayan Daniel, Nasia, Shabuo, Gachu, Niamayan, Dosu, Nimayan, Dongua, Nasia. Fatherland videos. Tonight, we have a Native American mythology read. Nice videos dedicated to one of my favorite podcasts. A nice little chocolate. Hey. See what's up with it. You know how to get in contact with me. Don't be acting all shady and shy. You know what I'm saying? Come to the boy correct. I like some little chocolate. You know what I'm saying? This one dedicated to her. I normally do my Lovecraft, HP Lovecraft mythos for her. You know what I'm saying? I got a little crush on her. Let's get into tonight's mythology. Tonight's mythology read is coming from the book Native American Myths and Tales. Forward by Sam Gill and Flame Tree Publishing. Tonight's mythology read is on page 151, The Broken Promise. At the heart of solitary forest, a hunter had built for himself and his family a small wooden lodge, having decided once and for all to withdraw from the company of his tribe. Their deceit and cruelty had caused him to turn from them, and he had chosen the loneliest spot he could find. It meant that his 3 young children should never fall under the poisonous influence. The years passed by, and the family remained happy and peaceful in their new home until, one day, the father fell gravely ill and took to his couch with little or no hope of a recovery. Day and night, the family lovingly attended the sick man, exhausting all their simple medicines on him, yet never failing to whisper words of encouragement in his ear. But at last, they resigned themselves to the fact that he would not regain his health, and gathered around him in dimly lit room, awaiting the departure of his spirit. As death drew near, the sick man called for the skin door of the lodge to be thrown open so that he might witness the sun sinking into the evening sky one last time. Then he motioned to his eldest son to raise him up in the bed. With these words, he addressed his grieving family. "I must leave you shortly," he said, "but I am satisfied that I have been a good father and I have provided. I have provided you with ample food and protected you from the storms and the cold, our harsh climate. You, my partner in life," he continued, casting his eyes upon his wife. "You, I can leave behind with an easy conscience, for you do not have much longer here and will soon join me in the Isle of the Blessed. But oh, my children who have just set off one life's journey, you have every wickedness before you from which I can no longer offer you protection. The unkindness and ingratitude of men caused me to abandon my tribe, and while we have lived here in peace and harmony, those very men have caused the forest to echo with the cries of war. My wish for you is that you remain pure at heart and never follow the evil example of such men. I will go tranquilly to my rest only if I am certain that you will always cherish one another. My eldest son, my eldest daughter, promise to obey my dying command and never forsake your younger brother, for he is the most in need of your care." The sick man then closed his eyes and spoke no more. And after a few minutes' silence, when his family came to his bedside and called him by name, they found that his spirit did not answer, for it had already well on its way to the land of souls. After 8 months, the mother sadly passed away also, but in her last moments, she was careful to remind the 2 eldest children of the promise they had made to their father. During the winter that followed her death, they could not have been more attentive to the delicate younger child. But as soon as winter had passed, the older brother became restless and struggled increasingly to conceal his uneasy mood. Before long, he had reached a decision to break his promise to his father and to search out the village of his father's tribe. "I am lonely and wretched here," he told his sister one morning. "Must I forever pretend that we are the only people in the world and sacrifice my youth to this miserable existence? No, I am determined to seek out the society of our fellow men, and nothing you can say will prevent me leaving." "My brother," replied his sister, "I do not blame you for harboring these desires, but we have made a solemn promise to cherish each other always and protect the youngest of our family from all harm. Neither pleasure nor pain should separate us, for if we follow our own inclinations, he will surely become a victim of our neglect." The young man made no reply to this, and for some weeks afterwards continued with his work as normal. Every day exerting himself in the hunt to supply the wants of the family. But then, one evening, he failed to return home, and when she searched his corner of the lodge, his sister found that all of his possessions had vanished. Turning aside from her little brother, she began to weep silently, knowing in her heart that he might never return and that, from now on, she would carry the burden of responsibility her father had placed upon them. 5 moons had waned, during which the young girl tenderly watched over her younger brother, feeding him, clothing him, and building a great fire every day to protect them both from the bitter winds. But soon the solitude of her life began to weary her unspeakably. She had nobody to converse with save the birds and the beasts about her, nothing ever to look forward to, and she felt at the bottom of her heart that she was entirely alone. Her younger brother was the only obstacle preventing her enjoying the companionship of others, and there were times when she wished him dead so she might escape and have a new life of her town. At last, when she felt her patience had been entirely exhausted, she gathered into the lodge a large store of food and firewood and announced to her little brother, "My child, I must go in search of our older brother, but I have provided you for until my return. Do not leave the lodge until I reappear, and you will remain safe." Then she embraced the young boy warmly and set off with her bundle in search of the village of her father's tribe. Soon she had arrived at her destination and found her brother nicely settled with a wife of his own and 2 healthy sons. She had been prepared to chastise him severely, but she discovered quite quickly that there was much about the village that appealed to her own starved curiosity. Within a few weeks, she had accepted a proposal of marriage from one of the most handsome warriors of the tribe and abandoned all thought of ever returning to the solitary lodge in the forest. The poor young brother had fully expected his sister to return, but the months passed by. Soon he discovered he had eaten all the food she had provided him with. Forced to trudge through the woods in search of food, he began picking up whatever berries he could find and digging up roots with his pale, slender hands. These satisfied his hunger as long as the weather remained mild, but winter arrived briskly, and now the berries were blighted by frost or hidden from the view by a thick carpet of snow. With each new day, he was obliged to wander farther and farther from the lodge, sometimes spending the night in the clefts and the hollows of the old trees, glad of the opportunity to scavenge in scraps of foods the wolves might leave for him. At first fearful of these animals, in time he grew so desperate for food that he would sit waiting a few feet from the circle, watching while they devoured their meat. Patiently waiting his share, the wolves themselves became accustomed to the sight of him, and seeing him to understand his plight, developed a habit of leaving something behind for him to eat. In this way, the little boy lived on through the savage winter, saved from starvation by the generosity of the wild beasts of the woods. When spring had come and the ice sheets on the Great Lakes began melting slowly, the boy followed the wolf pack to the pebbled shore. It so happened that on the same day he arrived, the older brother, whom he had almost entirely forgotten about, was fishing on the lake in his canoe, and hearing the cry of a child, stood up and listened with all his attention, wondering how any human creature could survive in such bleak and hostile environment. Again, he heard the cry, but this time it sounded very familiar, and so he hastened to the shore to confront its source. Here he came to face with his little brother, who had begun singing a mournful little song. Nasia, Nasia, Shugwu Gushu, Niman Ganio, Niman Gonyu. My brother, I am almost a wolf. I am almost a wolf. Nasiya, Shakwu, Goshu, Niman Giyu, Niman Giyu. My brother, I'm almost a wolf. My brother, I'm almost a wolf. The wailing voice touched him deeply, and as the song drew to a close, the young boy howled long and loudly. Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho! Exactly like a wolf. Approaching closer to the spot, the elder brother was startled to see that the little fellow had indeed half changed into a wolf. My brother, come to me, he pleaded, but the boy fled, leaving behind paw prints in the sand while he continued to sing, Namian Giyu, Namian Giyu, Nasiya, Shaku, Gashu, Niman, Namian, Gonyu, Gonyu. My brother, I'm almost a wolf. The more eagerly the older brother called, the faster his little brother fled from him, and he more rapidly the change continued until, with a prolonged, mournful howl, his whole body was transformed. The elder brother, sick with remorse, and hearing again the voice of the dying father, continued to cry out in anguish, My brother! But the young boy leaped upon the bank, and looking back, his eyes filled with a deep reproach, exclaimed, I am a wolf. Niman Gyu. Niman Gyu. Then he bounded swiftly away into the depths of the forest and was never heard of again. Shout out to one of my top 3 favorite podcasters. She is Sexy Chocolate, man. She be having me feeling for some chocolate sometimes. Hey, this one dedicated to you, sister. Keep doing your thing. I see you making progress. Sometimes I fail to realize how long I've been doing these videos. And I'll be checking sometimes lately this last year. I've been checking people I've been watching, and I've been feeling like, dang, really pushing the energy properly, and I look and see how long they've been doing their videos. And I understand to have patience. recognizing how much I've done. Not that I'm better than nobody or nothing, but definitely, you know what I'm saying, understand everybody on the journey. And you gotta understand where people at. I love your work. I love watching your videos. Keep making progress. Oh, oh, oh.